So just to start with, Gia, I mean, tell us a bit about yourself. I mean, when did you first pick up the guitar and decide that was the instrument for you?
Um, I I was always interested in music and stuff. So since I was like small, and I picked it up in my teens, like 16, 17, kind of late. So I wanted to pick it up earlier, but I was always discouraged. So I
Oh,
used
that's
to
a
listen.
shame.
Yeah, family, they, oh, you can't do it, blah, 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 But I used to listen to all my parents' old records, like Frank Sinatra, Elvis, the Beatles, the Bee Gees, Queen, everybody. I mean, it's like you name it, I've listened to. Then I kept going, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, then into the 80s stuff, Van Halen, and all the way up to. So I got a wide range of influences.
And
Yeah,
that
I mean,
inspired you. You wanted to be them on stage.
um, well, I yes and no. I mean, that's like kind of. I mean, everybody gets that to that point that they think that, and they're like, oh, it'd be great to do that, but it's not as easy as it looks. So it's
No.
no, it's hard in every other way. It's business wise and music wise, and who you know and who you play with, and there's all these little bits of information they don't tell you. You
It's
just keep
not an
picking.
easy life.
No, it's not, and it's. I mean, I never as time went on, I didn't really look at it that way. I looked at it as if I can get my name out there, create interest in music, make it my own style, learn from my influences and make it my own, and just get a little name, or get, like I always called it, the national circuit, like sort of get on a label, get known, and that's it. I didn't want to be some big superstar. So because I know there's a lot of insanity with that, and who knows what will happen. I mean, I don't know. Because you see all these people, you've probably been seeing it all. Oh, they're all dropping dead. I
They
mean,
do have a habit of doing that when they get famous. Yes.
I know. So it's like, is that really worth it? I don't know. I mean,
So was it always the guitar, or did you flirt with keyboards? Did you flirt with vocals, but always went back to the guitar, or has it always been the guitar?
guitar was first. So I learned guitar. Actually, my first guitar was the electric. It was wasn't exactly a Telecaster. It was a copy of a Telecaster. Then I went on to an actual Strat. And then I got a Kramer. Then I got into Jackson and all these other guitars. And I went back to Fender. And I have like 27 guitars. But then I also learned over the years, like keyboard. I play a lot of keyboard on my recordings, and I play bass. I can play bass. I've picked up those, and singing. I mean, back up here and there. Not like I never really practiced singing enough. It's like I could just maybe do a little backup. I never really put 100% into singing. Mostly like music, learning the what you need to know, the techniques, and and just the recording. I do a lot of I have my own home studio. I do all my recordings here. So yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's like a broad range with music. It's not just one particular thing. It's like everything, especially now with like a lot of people like myself do their own thing. Like you have to be the manager. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do the promoting and networking. It just goes on and on and on. But I think the internet's been a great thing though, because I personally think we wouldn't even have this conversation. Like you said, technology.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
So are you self-taught, or did you find a good teacher?
I took lessons with a known guitar player. Actually, he's actually in Alcatraz right now. The new version of it, Joe Stone. This is like years ago. I took lessons with him a couple of years, then I went off my own and just learned everything on my own and developed my own thing. So that helped with him. And then obviously you have to really do it. In my opinion, you can take lessons, like obviously online. You could take lessons and stuff. It's easier than it was before the internet. But you have to really sort of, with music, maybe I think all instruments fall in this way, even voice. you do the lessons, but you got to find your own. You got to find your own practice and your own thing to really. If you don't put the time in, lessons and things don't matter. If you just practice every day, or even not even like sometimes you can take like I haven't had time to practice lately because of the buzz this CD and all the stuff I'm doing, but obviously that's fine. That's part of what I'm saying. Like it involves like everything. Like you have to really like take time. Like, okay, once you get this, you got to do that. You got to do this. You got to learn about this. It's not just one thing. It's not like just lead guitar and that's it. Because then you become narrow-minded. There's rhythm guitar, there's writing, there's recording, there's sound, there's tone. You know what I mean? So it's really becomes complex in a way. But some people, like the people that have actually become big, like example, I was watching a documentary on Queen last night. Brian May, he did all that. He built his own guitars, he did the tone, he did this. So those people get involved in more than just the playing. They get involved with everything. But you don't really know that until you hear them get an interview. They might bring it out. So I think a lot of people don't understand that, including people like myself in the beginning. You don't know that until you go on. So it's more than just. It's always like that with everything, I guess, right?
Which piece of music would you say, as in, was really every time you hear it, that inspires you the most?
Queen's one of them. That was Eddie Van Halen, Jeff Beck. Depends on my mood that day. Like old Metallica. You know, I like them old Iron Maiden. Or even the new stuff's pretty good. Dio, Led Zeppelin. I mean, you can name even just a pop song. Like even the new Adele song that came out, the one with the piano. I like that song. That's a real big hit. I love that what she did on that. So anything. Even Taylor Swift, some of her songs, you know, so like I have a broad range of like of style. I don't like staying like all that type of stuff. Sort of, I get influenced by even like the classical music, anything, blues, heavy stuff. I mean, it's just in potential in the mood of the day. If you're in like a mean mood, you're gonna put a mad mood. You're gonna put heavy music on. So everything influences me. My mind's open to all the music and playing.
As any good musician should be.
Yeah. So
talking to musicians, I mean, who have you? I better be careful how I phrase this. Who have you been playing with on the EP?
My drummer Mark George and my bass player Paul Angle, and they're on my other project. I have another project that was a vocal song, a project alternative metal band, and they're signed to the same label as my instrumental one, Devil in the Mist, and they're on the new EP that came out. So they're really good. Paul's like almost like a fusion type bass player, really, and Mark's kind of like he's a rock metal drummer, but he plays in he actually plays my old guitar teacher, and he plays in a lot of tribute cover bands, and he plays in my two projects. So he's excited about what's going on with this. So they're really, really good musicians, rhythm wise, and I have a lot of. I'm real excited about what they did on the EP and what it's getting. So yeah, I mean, they're really nice people.
The EP, of course, is called Cosmic Wave on Slipchick Records, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the label. Yeah, and they've been really good. I mean, it's good to be. You have to find like it's good. I did a lot of stuff on my own, and then 2020, I met a guy who's helping me do stuff online. He was working for a bunch of labels. That was one of them, and he sent stuff to them, and they're interested in both my projects, and they've got me to a broader audience in Europe and everywhere else, plus what I was doing here. So they packaged the CD, and that's like actually the first official EP CD that I've released on a big label that's being distributed by Sony. So that was exciting for me, and that's the most packaged, most professional one I've done. So I'm really like the pitches are good, and like everybody's like, so really,
right.
Really pays off to do a professional. You know, you have to obviously to get it out there like that. But I'm like almost giddy over that, like giddy over. I'm like, oh wow, that's great! Finally, something that's totally professional on a big, big, good size label that's associated with Sony with the distributor, and I did it right, and I put my whole thing into it, my whole energy in playing. And so the video, so I'm really excited about the response and what I did on it. You know, I'm proud of it because it's like, it's not something that's just a basic demo CD you throw out for like, you know, oh, here's our new demo for a couple shows. I mean, and that's fine. I have nothing, but not for something like this. So I'm very happy with what's going on with all this, and just, you know, doing these interviews, and it kind of pays off because all that work that goes into recording and writing, and then you get this out of it. It makes it really rewarding that people enjoy it. So, you know, that's all I have to say.
No, I think it's brilliant. I mean, you're right. I think when you finally get a really polished EP or an album release and it's on a decent label, and I mean that's how we heard from you, because of all the sort of PR noise that's going on around you at the moment, and we thought, who is Gia? You know, we've really got to speak to her and find out who this girl is, and you know, find out what makes her tick. So it does pay off, and it is paying off for you, and congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I actually have a big, a lot of people, like I have a lot of fans in England. Actually, I got a lot of airplay England for over the years, and in Europe. So that's in Canada. It's another one. So yeah, so I'm glad I get out to Europe and to England and stuff, because it gives me a broader audience. And I'm not surprised that you asked that, because I get a lot of, England has some reason likes my music, which is fine. That's great. No, that's
Yeah,
a big.
I think over here there is still that real appreciation for good guitarists,
Yeah,
rather than just straight ahead pop rock, punk rock, you know, that kind of thing that goes on radio friendly airplay. And we still love vinyl.
I actually want to put that. The funny that you mentioned vinyl, I want to get that on vinyl. That 3-song EP. I want to actually. A lot of people like collecting vinyl.
Yeah.
Too, so I was thinking of that. And the guitar thing, I think you guys are more broad with guitar playing. You're more into like, I think you guys are more into like, my CD fits perfect actually. You're more into like the feel, the songwriting aspect of guitar playing and the playing. The problem with America is that there's a thing going on over here which kind of destroyed. And I got thrown into the scene. I don't know why I get thrown into it. The shred community. Like I'm not that's part of my style too. But all these people that just do nonstop, and that's what's going on over here. And so when you do an instrumental album, they automatically they throw you in with those people, and it's like, well, wait a minute, I'm not. There's more going on here than, you know, especially this new EP. There's going on, so people are picking up on it. They're like, oh wow, this is actually music, instrumental music, and you can hear the guitar actually talking, which kind of, I call it vocal guitar phrasing. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in many ways, there are elements in your playing that remind me a lot of Joe Satriani. Because he always says when in his interviews that he likes the guitar to sing the words. So he imagines there's a vocal part on the record, and the guitar is singing the words, and yours is the same.
Yeah, well, he's one of the few that are not in that. He's one of the writing ones that makes music that you can listen to. Yeah, I feel the same way, and he's one of my influences. I like creating phrasing. If you notice that if there's not vocals there, so the guitar is making up its own. The guitar is actually like singing in a way, like he said. So I kind of did that. I mean, I think it just comes out naturally. I just write something, and I hear, and I do all this backup stuff, and I remember I did that on one of my songs, my second one, Interwoven, and there was a DJ in England. I think he's sick now, but he's getting better. I forget his name. He loved it. He compared to me some guy that was out there in the 70s. I forget the guy's name. He loved that type of playing, that the guitar is talking almost. And I'm like, wow, because that was back in 2015, 16. Because at the time I wasn't used to hearing that, because everyone's always wanting to hear, I want to hear a million arpeggios. And it's like, well, this guy's actually saying he wants to hear, you know, the guitar talk, which is like almost like a little noise coming through all that static. You know, I want to hear the guitars, you know, actual. So now all you guys out there seem to be into that. I think all of Europe really is more into that.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I think that's that's great. I don't, hey, I'm all for it because I tell what I'm into. I want to hear music that I can listen to, I can put on the radio, and I have nothing against, like, say I do a full length, which I intend to do down the road here after this. I'll put a song out there that's crazy just to say, look at this insanity. I'm gonna that song and go crazy. Okay, one song, people would probably listen to that more because it's only one song. If you put the whole album like that, they're gonna be like, oh my God, I can't hear this. So, it goes
become very tiring for the ears, especially like you said, you get guitarists that just they learn how to sweep pick, and then that's their whole repertoire then.
Yeah, and the problem with that is like you go on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all that, and all these people, and they get a big fan base and they get rated like they're the best guitarist and they're this and they're the next big thing, and I even see companies like endorsing these people, and I'm just like, and then they'll flag people like me, they'll push me aside because I'm not shredding enough. In America it seems that way. Europe's not like that, and I'm like, well, what why? And then you start really, as a musician, I pick up on things like the average person maybe doesn't. Like when they're doing these live podcasts, they do pre-recorded ones and they're playing, there's a backing track going on, and they're going through like a processed sound. They're not doing the old-fashioned way through a tube amp. And I can hear all that. I'm like, if you tell that person to plug into a raw tube amp and play, you'll hear how bad they actually play, and they can't, but they'll be making all kinds of mistakes, which I'm not saying they're bad, but that's the real person. Instead, people don't understand that when I do that and I'm playing, I'm actually playing, but they compare me to people that are processed with a backing track and say, well, I'm like, well, wait. So people like, I think common sense kind of is out the window because they don't understand maybe, what I mean? Which I can understand. My old producer used to call that pedestrians. They don't know what's really going on. They just hear something. That's it, which, I can understand. If I didn't know anything about guitar and I heard it, I wouldn't know either, So that's another thing, but
it looks impressive to the, as you say, the pedestrian. It does look impressive. I'll look at all these arpeggios and them sweeping up and down, and then they sweep up and down again, and then they sweep up and down again, and it looks as if they are a very accomplished musician, when in actuality being a musician is much more about understanding composition. It's about understanding feel. It's about understanding the space between the notes.
Yeah, exactly. It's much more complex than watching someone play scales and arpeggios millions of times, super clean, fast, and they say that person's an accomplished player and the best one. Is actually the hardest solos to actually do, believe it or not, are not those. Those that you could sit in a room for hours and practice that and get really clean and super fast and play with a click track and get 250 BPMs. When you want to write a solo, like example is my new EP, when there's parts in those songs that are a feel, in this, you have to come in at a certain time, do a certain feel. Those solos are harder because you got to do a feel-oriented phrasing thing and make the guitar kind of like, if you're doing technique too and feel, that's much harder to capture than just a straight edge technique thing, because you're capturing feel in emotion. It's like singing, because ever notice when they have to redo an EP or an album, they have to redo, they usually redo drums and bass. They never redo vocals or guitar. It's very hard to capture that recording again, because guitar leads, especially in lead singing, is hard to capture those moments, especially feel ones. They never touch them because that's like a capture of moment of time. The fast ones they can usually redo because it's like, and you can get anyone to do that. You can get the guy down the street. Can you come in and like fill this in? We'll just put some stuff on. But you get someone who like Pink Floyd, like David Gilmour, Jeff Beck. You couldn't get someone to reduplicate with their things because it's all feel, and it's like, what I mean? It's like singing. You can't get someone to sing like Roy Orbison or somebody like that, or Bruce Dickinson. They're not going to sing. And if he even himself went in and redid it, he's not going to capture the same thing he did 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Because it's the atmosphere, it's the environment, the way they recorded, the day, how he felt. It's emotion, it's feel. And a lot of people don't understand that about music. They think it's, the faster you can play, the higher you can sing, the more auto tunes you put on, you can duplicate it. And it's mechanical. So you brought up a good point. You can't duplicate.
No.
A lot. You can't.
And you say you do prefer to use what they would call now old-fashioned. In other words, real amps and effects. What gear do you use?
Right here, I'll show you this. Like, see those?
Ooh, amp porn.
Yeah, JCM 800s. So those are like the old early
Nice.
1980s ones, tube ones, and I got a 5150. So what I do is I go through my I have Pro Tools HD. That's the higher end one. So I have a guitar booth I made up with a mic, 2 mics, and I record raw. So I'm recording raw, and I do have a digital thing I do for live. Is easy because I don't have to set all that up for live shows. Like I bought this GT100, and I've played raw like this, but the problem is the feedback of the amps when you play raw. So I'm trying to avoid that. So I get this digital Boss thing, which they actually do. They've been around for a while. That works out good for live shows. That's different. And you can add this to recordings if you want to like mix it in with that once in a while. I haven't done it yet, but all my recordings you've heard, like the new EP, is recorded, which is what I said. I recorded with the Fender Strat, going through these, and then we just add stuff like basic if we want to add like a little reverb or something on the board after the recording. The wah-wah pedal I did on the recording, with the pedal and actual wah-wah. So it's raw as you. There's no compression. There's no, direct recording, which I have nothing against, and no, none of that fake stuff going on. What you heard there is actually me. And I learned that way. And I don't get the problem is like in that community we were talking about, all those people that play that crazy stuff, they don't do that. They go direct. They use all this process stuff. And anyone can sound good. Actually, you can make anyone sound good doing that. Because if you get really compressed and processed, you can make a basic player sound amazing. So I'm not taking anything away from them, but when you stick to that style of playing or that tech, that thing they're doing, it actually ruins you as a player, because when you go to play raw like that, you're terrible because your technique is lost because you're so used to compression and processing that you forgot how to mute and do, because you're so covered up. And when you go to raw, you're like, oh my God, I'm terrible. And they don't realize that.
Which is why a lot of guitarists won't play with anybody else now, because they can't. If they're up against another guitarist on stage who like yourself is amped up, they got the Marshalls going, they're playing live, they can't hack it, can they? Because it's that they can't, they don't know how you're making those sounds you're making.
No, the problem is, like, I've seen a lot of live bands, and when I went to NAMM, they're using all these compression things, and when I released The Chase, the funny thing is I got accused of that, which I recorded that raw, and they said I was a player and it was all processed and blah, 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 because I wasn't playing shows. And when I finally played out, they actually saw that I was a real player and I was going raw. They couldn't say anything. So when I played these shows, like I played 2 shows for another band I do leads in with, and I always got a huge response because I'm raw. And I'm real. I'm there, like you said. And a lot of players are not. There's players that are good, but they're going through all this stuff. So if they play raw, you can hear they don't even bother doing it. It's not even in comprehension anymore. When they plug, and a lot of these new amps have that stuff built in. They have that compression stuff built in, like already. They have a thing called Torpedo, and they have this thing called the Axe Effect. And they plug some of that's built into these new amps, and those guitar players just use that right into there. And so it's already compressed in the amp. They might have a Marshall. Say, well, I have a Marshall in there, but it's a new Marshall that's all processed. It's not an old Marshall, an old 5150 or something, or an old Fender that you just go raw. If they do use that, they go through they call it front-ended amp. They do front-ended clean, and they go direct through a processor, which then it all becomes processed again. So, which is fine. Live, I mean, you can do, everybody does that, all famous people, but they do it 24/7. They learn that way. They can't even go. I've heard some of these players play live online. They've actually played, they're going to do a blues thing and they went raw. And these are the shred people. Some of them are from Japan. I forgot the names, but I heard them like, oh my God, they can't bend a note. They can't do vibrato. They're sloppy. And when they try to play fast, you can hear all the mistakes. Then you hear other recordings when they're all going through the machine stuff. It's like flawless. It sounds like a CD. It's like, wow, that guy's amazing. But then you say, it's like auto tunes of singing, I call it. Basically, it is. And drummers are doing the same thing with, they call it backing drums and drum add-ons. Do you hear drumming today? It's really, it sounds like a machine. A lot of that's, it's not even the drummer, so it's trickery, I call it, and
reviewers like us, they don't fool us. for all the girls and boys out there who think they fool us, they don't.
Yeah.
We can hear it.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I hear it clearly, and I'm just like, after a while, I get used to it, and you're just like, that's the way it's going to be, I guess. But the problem is they start judging you on that. If you don't sound or do that, you're not good. And it's just like, what's good about that, first of all? Because some people just don't know. They're, like I said, they're pedestrians. They think, well, that is really good. That person really can do that. I say, yeah. And a million other people, if you plug them and put them in this, you're going to hear the real person or the real, you know, and you'll never hear it because they'll never do it because it's so part of the system now that it's like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm proud that I haven't, all my recordings are not done that way. Like my last recording before this, Mercy, the single, the latter, I did a crazy intro, and I didn't do that. I did raw. And I tell people, you know, I recorded that raw with a 2-band, and I even doubled my track raw. I doubled my lead on that. And I didn't go through any process. I didn't, you know, actual notes, actual playing, you know, and it's a lot of work because you're really, if you're trying to get that the real way, not the process way, yeah, it's hard. So, but, you know, people want to get attention. They're going to do anything they can to do it. And if that's going to make them look and sound better, they're going to do it. And it works for them.
But
so,
unlike them, you can go out and do it live. And talking about playing live, you got any live dates scheduled?
I might be playing a show at the end of the month with that other band. They're called Infinite Sin up in New Hampshire. I do lead guitar for them, and I do the studio stuff for them. And I might be during a couple of months later, I might do an internet show with Gia G with about like 5 songs. I'm gonna put it online, and then maybe I might do some shows down the road. And I'm gonna do another music video for the 3rd song on the EP. Probably come out in the summer. Intricate Fusion. And then, you know, and then some other bands want me to do studio work. I don't know if I have the time. That's the problem. It's too much between that and other stuff. But yeah, then I'm going to go and I'm going to be recording the full length album for Slip Trick, the full Gia G, which will encompass what you saw now and more. I'm going to indulge more into blues, jazz, classical pop, metal still, you know, whatever keyboard, who knows, whatever fancies my whatever that, you know, I'm even new age music. I mean, I'm the cool thing about being Gia G, the project, is I can pretty much do anything. Like, I don't have to be stuck in a band situation where I have to play alternative metal, or I have to play death metal, or I have to play this. When you're instrumental or solo, you can throw vocals on there, you can do instrumental, and you can be put in any radio station. And that's the other problem with music today. When you get stuck in a genre, you can't break it, you know. And it's I don't like that. I feel an artist should be able to express themselves in any style they want to do. So I don't know why the industry's been like that for a while now, but I think it's kind of silly, you know.
Well, I shall certainly look forward to hearing a full length album and hearing what you put out in the future. So please keep me informed, and we'll obviously play it on the show as well, because this will be part of our new Guitar Heroes sort of thing that we do every now and then.
Great!
So we'll be playing on the radio show, and also this will be an interview on YouTube to kind of back it up, and so more and more people can discover you and discover a true guitarist for a change, rather than the TikTokers.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So this is a new thing you're doing. You're doing guitar interviews now. That's wow. Well, that's good.
I mean, it's a pet project of myself as well, because I'm a guitarist. So
okay,
it gives me a chance to geek out for a little while, indulge my guitarist.
Well, good. I'm glad another guitarist is doing that for other guitarists. That's especially from England. I think that's a great. I love talking to people from other countries like this, you know, Europe and stuff, England. It gives me, I don't know, it makes me feel people are really appreciating music itself.
We do, trust me, we do.
And they want to hear more of me, and I feel honored, and I'm grateful. You know, I'm very grateful for people that like that. So, it makes me want to go forward more to do the full length, and to do. I would love to tour England. I'm just afraid to get on the plane. What's going on with this COVID? I don't want to. You know, I don't. Did you get a vaccine? I'm like, no, you can't come on the plane. It's like, okay. I'll wear a mask. I don't
Hopefully,
want
when the dust has settled on all this craziness,
Yeah.
do please try and come over to the UK, because I mean, I'd certainly love to see you.
I love to. I like it.
There's people out in Britain that, as you said, we do appreciate true guitarists.
I think you guys appreciate music more out there. I think America's kind of lost its way with it a long time ago. It's corporate or something going on here. But
well, it's the same old thing with the blues, isn't it? You give us the blues, and then we bounce it back to you, and then you bounce it back to us. It's all still the blues at the end of the day, but we just keep ping ponging it across the ocean.
Like tennis thing.
Your turn.
It's a long tennis thing. Like,
Gia, it's been a pleasure and an honor talking to you, and wish you all the best with all the things you were doing in the future. And I'll let you know when the interview's online.
Oh yeah, thank you for interviewing. I wish you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, and I'll be talking to you in the future again, and wish you luck on the
Absolutely, yeah. Do keep in touch.
Great, yeah.
Bye bye for now. Bye bye, Gia.
Bye.
Shut up and sit down.